Okay, so are you ready for this one?
Always.
These sources you sent over.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is wild.
We're going deep into one of the most, just the most baffling UFO cases I think I've ever seen.
Really is.
The 1977 Colares incident in Brazil.
Uh-huh.
And we're talking like firsthand accounts, official reports, even some media coverage from back then. It's like we're stepping right back into 1977.
What a time capsule.
It is a total time capsule.
Yeah.
So what's our mission here?
Well, I think our mission is to really figure out what made this incident so unique.
Right.
You know, focusing on those firsthand stories and the official investigation, and then all those questions that still linger even to this day.
What is it about Colares that's so captivating to you?
I think it's just the sheer volume of consistent eyewitness accounts.
Yeah.
And then they're backed up by physical evidence, which was documented by medical professionals.
Right.
And then on top of that, you have an official investigation by the Brazilian Air Force.
Exactly.
That's not something.
That's not something you see every day.
You see every day.
In ufology.
No.
Okay, so let's paint a picture here.
Yeah.
For the listener.
Okay.
Small remote island in Brazil called Colares.
Right.
It's 1977.
Mm-hmm.
Life is pretty laid back. It's centered around fishing.
Mm-hmm.
The island itself is steeped in local legends and folklore, which kind of makes what's about to happen even more unsettling.
I think the cultural context there is really, really crucial.
Yeah.
Because imagine, a place where stories of the supernatural are just woven into the fabric of daily life.
Right.
Right. So then suddenly these unexplained events start occurring.
Yeah.
And so that clash, I think, between the traditional beliefs and then this seemingly inexplicable really amplifies that sense of fear and mystery.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's like something out of a movie. And that's when we meet a gentleman named Emilio Campos Oliveira. He's a 78-year-old resident. And picture this, okay? He's relaxing in his hammock one evening.
Right.
And all of a sudden, bam!
Wow.
A beam of light pierces his roof.
Oh my God.
Burning his thigh.
Really?
And this wasn't just a small burn.
Right.
This light actually burned through ceramic tiles.
Wow.
Of his roof.
That's intense.
It is intense.
Yeah.
And here's where things get really kind of spooky.
Okay.
His experience wasn't a one-off.
Oh no.
Dozens of residents reported similar encounters.
Wow.
Describing feelings of being stalked, almost hunted by these lights.
Oh, wow.
People were lighting bonfires on the beach just to try to scare them off.
Deter them.
Families were fleeing the island. It's just this overwhelming terror that gripped everyone.
Yeah, that is so different than, your typical I saw a light in the sky UFO story.
It's not just lights in the sky. It was the physical evidence that started to surface.
Absolutely.
That makes this different.
Yeah, this is where Dr. Waleed Carvalho enters the picture.
Yeah.
She's the island's only doctor at the time.
Right.
And her account adds, I think, another layer of complexity to the Colares incident.
It does.
She documented, puncture marks and burns and other symptoms that just didn't make sense.
Yeah, I was reading about the burns.
Yeah.
They were really strange.
Yeah, they would darken rapidly.
Right.
Like they'd been there for days.
Yeah, as if they were old.
Even though they were brand new injuries.
Which is not what you see with your typical, kitchen burn.
Not at all.
Right.
Everyday burn.
No. And there was one case in particular that really stuck out to me.
Okay.
A woman was brought in by her family, semi-conscious, with puncture marks on her breasts, and she had no memory.
Oh, wow.
Of what happened to her.
That's terrifying.
It's terrifying, and now it's shifted.
Yeah.
It's not just lights in the sky. Now we're talking about physical impact.
Exactly.
On people's bodies.
It raises the stakes dramatically.
Yeah, you can totally see why people were terrified.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when things escalate to a whole new level.
Okay.
The panic in Colares was so intense that the Brazilian Air Force launched Operation Saucer.
Whoa.
A dedicated UFO investigation.
Think about that.
I know.
A military operations specifically for UFOs.
Right.
That tells you how seriously they were taking this.
They sent in Captain Urang Holanda to lead the investigation.
Experienced officer.
Very experienced.
Okay.
And, from what I've read, he started out pretty skeptical.
Yeah, a lot of people do with these cases.
I think a lot of people would.
Yeah.
But then something happened.
What happened?
That completely changed his mind.
Oh, really?
Early on in the investigation, he, along with other members of Operation Saucer, had a first-hand encounter with a cylindrical UFO.
Oh, wow.
He said the color was unlike anything he'd ever seen.
Interesting.
Not like stainless steel or silver. It had its own color. And this wasn't just a quick glimpse. They observed it for a good amount of time.
Wow.
And this direct experience totally shifted his perspective.
Wow. So the military gets involved, and then even the lead investigator becomes a believer.
And then we have Dr. Carvalho, who claimed that she was ordered to dismiss everything as mass hysteria.
Oh, really?
What do you make of that?
Well, that's where I think the idea of a potential cover-up starts to kind of creep in.
Right.
Because why would the authorities try to downplay something so significant?
Yeah, especially with the military already involved.
Right.
Just adds to the mystery.
It really does.
So we have Captain Hollander, who starts as a skeptic.
Right.
Transforms into a believer, meticulously documenting these UFOs that are performing maneuvers that should be impossible for any known aircraft.
Defying physics. Yeah.
And then it goes beyond just observation.
Okay.
He has multiple personal encounters that solidify his belief in the phenomenon. His first encounter, which he even sketched.
Wow.
A UFO circled his team on the beach.
Oh, wow.
And then there's the humanoid encounter.
Wait, hold on.
That he describes.
A humanoid encounter.
In his bedroom.
In his bedroom.
A being with no discernible facial features.
My goodness.
Those details came out years later in his personal testimony.
Yeah.
But the point is, he was a trained military officer.
A credible witness.
A credible witness.
Yes.
So we're dealing with first-hand accounts.
Right.
Physical evidence. Full-blown military investigation.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then years later, researchers like Jacques Vallée looked at this, and they basically said, we might not have all the answers, but we're definitely closer to understanding the evidence than we were before.
I think that's the core of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's about carefully examining the data.
Right.
The witness testimonies, the official reports, and trying to piece it all together.
And even with all that, there's no single theory that explains everything.
Yeah.
We've got theories about directed energy weapons, advanced surveillance tech, ball lightning geomagnetic phenomena.
It's a lot to consider.
But none of them fully account for every aspect of the case.
Yeah, it's what makes it so fascinating.
It does. It's like this giant puzzle with some pieces still missing.
Yeah, a mystery that demands further investigation, for sure.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Colares wasn't an isolated incident.
Oh, really?
There were other UFO sightings in Brazil.
Okay.
Some even more dramatic.
Like what?
Hinting at something much bigger happening.
Yeah.
So if we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, there are cases like one in 1986 where Brazilian jets were scrambled to intercept UFOs performing maneuvers that should be impossible.
What kind of maneuvers?
90-degree turns at hypersonic speeds.
Wow.
Then there's the Varginha incident in 1996.
Okay.
With its alleged capture of extraterrestrial beings.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So suddenly, this tiny island in Brazil becomes part of something potentially much larger.
Yeah.
Maybe even a global UFO phenomenon.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Was Colares unique a one-time event?
Right.
Or was it just one piece of a much larger unexplained puzzle?
And while the researchers are busy debating theories and explanations, we can't forget about the human side of this story.
That's right.
The Colares incident wasn't just about lights in the sky.
Yeah.
It was about real people who lived through these events.
Right.
And the trauma, the fear, the lasting impact it had on their lives.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's essential to look at specific cases.
Yes.
To understand the human cost of this phenomenon.
Totally. And one that really comes to mind is Alfredo Marques Soares.
Okay.
He was a farm worker in his 40s at the time.
Right.
He was walking at night when he felt this sudden pain in his leg.
Oh my gosh.
Saw a glowing object.
Yeah.
And experienced these intense waves of heat and cold. He ended up with severe bruising blisters and infection.
Oh no.
And was on crutches for months.
Wow.
His case is really interesting.
What makes it so interesting?
Because despite the trauma and the lasting injuries, his partial sight and hearing, which had been impaired before the encounter, was somehow restored afterwards.
What?
These are the kinds of details that make this so compelling.
It's unexplainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's Moises, who was apparently levitated twice.
Oh my gosh.
By an intense light.
Okay.
Experiencing paralysis.
Right.
And this chilling coldness.
Oh wow.
And then there's poor Januncio, who was burned by a hot oil-like substance
oh my gosh.
during a UFO encounter while he was clinging to a palm tree.
Oh no.
He suffered from health problems for years afterwards.
That's awful.
It is, and these cases really highlight the potential for harm in these encounters.
Right.
The physical and psychological effects on just ordinary people who found themselves caught up in something they couldn't understand or control.
That's right.
So while there's a scientific side to investigating this, we also have to acknowledge the human element.
Absolutely.
The real-life impact on the people.
It's essential.
Involved.
Yeah.
And even after all the research, the investigations, the witness testimonies, the Colares incident is still shrouded in mystery.
Yeah, it is.
We have these conflicting viewpoints about the strange injuries.
Yeah.
Some think they were self-inflicted,
right,
while others, like Daniel Rabiso, a biologist who studied the case, argue that the wounds were definitely not self-inflicted.
Interesting.
And then there are the blood-sucking rumors.
What?
Locals nicknamed the lights Chupa Chupa.
What does that mean?
Which means suck, suck.
Suck, suck.
Suck, suck.
Oh my God.
Believing that something was extracting blood from the victims.
Oh wow.
While there's no solid proof, it shows the level of fear and that just desperate search for explanations.
Yeah, it makes sense. Right, when something inexplicable is happening, people will try to make sense of it.
They have to, even if it leads to terrifying conclusions.
Right.
And then there's the guerrilla warfare theory, which suggests that these lights were some kind of advanced weapon being tested.
Interesting.
This connects back to the political context of Brazil at the time, with suspicions of covert operations and psychological warfare tactics. But even with that theory, there's been no official confirmation from the government.
So we're left with a lot of speculation.
Yeah.
But no concrete answers.
And it's been almost 50 years since these events took place.
And yet the Colares incident continues to spark debate.
I know.
And intrigue.
It's crazy.
Reminding us that there's still so much we don't understand about the world around us.
Yeah, it really is mind-blowing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does highlight that even with all of our advancements, you know, with science and technology, there are still some phenomena that remain completely beyond our grasp.
Yeah.
You know, the Colares incident isn't just this historical oddity. It challenges how we perceive reality.
Yeah.
What we even consider possible.
And what I think is so interesting is that, you know, the Brazilian government's response wasn't just like a blanket denial. It was this multi-layered thing. You know, you had local authorities trying to maintain order amidst the panic.
Right.
And then you had the military launching Operation Saucer.
Yeah.
And even the media, initially skeptical, couldn't ignore the scale of the events and the Air Force's involvement.
I think the media coverage of the Colares incident is a fascinating study in itself.
It is.
You can actually track the shift.
Yeah.
From initial skepticism to more serious reporting as the evidence mounted.
Totally.
And as that government involvement became undeniable.
Especially back in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Back then, UFO sightings were often ridiculed and dismissed as fantasy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But in Colares, the sheer number of witnesses, those physical injuries, and that military investigation, it lent it a level of credibility that was hard to ignore.
Exactly. And I think that coverage, particularly from respected, you know, national newspapers and television networks, really helped legitimize the incidents in the public eye.
For sure.
It forced people to take it seriously, even if they didn't have explanations.
It wasn't just a local story either.
Right.
It gained international attention.
It did.
Appearing in UFO publications, attracting researchers from all over the world.
So despite happening in a remote location, the Colares case became a global phenomenon.
It did.
Sparking debates and discussions about UFOs and, you know, the possibility of extraterrestrial life.
And this wasn't just like a fleeting media frenzy.
No.
The Colares incident is still being discussed and analyzed today.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the recent release of previously classified documents.
Those documents, along with ongoing research and analysis, you know, by independent investigators, really keep the Colares incident alive in the public consciousness.
They do.
It's a case that just refuses to fade away.
It doesn't.
A constant reminder of the limits of our knowledge and the vastness of the unknown.
It almost feels like Colares was like a turning point.
Yeah.
You know?
I think so too.
A moment where the world had to start taking the possibility of UFOs a bit more seriously.
Yeah, it's hard to deny the weight of the evidence. You have credible witnesses.
Yeah.
Physical injuries. Official investigations.
Yeah.
I think the Colares incident, whether we fully understand it or not, forced the world to confront the possibility that we might not be alone.
Okay, so let's dig into those incredible Operation Saucer documents compiled by Captain Alanda. I mean, he didn't just record sightings.
Right.
He included, like, detailed technical observations about the UFOs.
Like what?
Estimated sizes, speeds, altitudes.
Those details are so crucial for anyone trying to understand the nature of these objects.
I know.
This isn't just vague descriptions of lights in the sky.
Right.
He was a trained observer.
Right.
And he was incredibly meticulous in his documentation.
Yeah.
Which I think provides really valuable data for researchers.
And he even tried to capture photographic evidence.
Did he?
Sadly, a lot of those photos remain classified.
Oh, really?
Who knows what they might reveal?
It's frustrating that so much evidence from Operation Saucer remains hidden from the public.
It is.
But even with the limited information available, I think the Colares incident presents a pretty compelling case for the existence of unexplained aerial phenomena.
And remember, we're talking about multiple trained military personnel corroborating these sightings.
Yes.
Documenting these strange movements.
It wasn't just one person's imagination running wild.
And we can't forget about Dr. Carvalho's detailed medical records.
Right.
Documenting those unusual burns, the puncture marks, all those other symptoms.
It provides a physical record of the effects these encounters had on the residents.
Yeah, those medical records are invaluable to researchers.
Yeah.
They provide tangible evidence that something extraordinary was happening.
On Colares Island.
Exactly.
Right.
So we've got the sightings, the documents, the medical records.
It's a lot.
But even with all that, this persistent mystery hangs over the Colares incident.
Yeah, it really does.
It's like we're peering through a fogged up window, trying to make sense of something just out of reach.
The Colares incident reminds us just how limited our knowledge can be.
Yeah.
We can gather evidence and analyze data and construct theories.
Yeah.
But sometimes those answers remain elusive.
They do.
And maybe that's part of what makes this case so captivating.
Right.
It forces us to confront the unknown. Grapple with the possibility that, forces are at work in the universe that we may never fully comprehend.
And what's really chilling is that, this wasn't just like passive observation.
Right.
These encounters had a real impact on the people of Colares.
They did.
They were afraid, they were hurt, and they felt utterly helpless against something they didn't understand.
I think that's the human side of the story that we just can't overlook.
We can't.
The Colares incident is a testament to the vulnerability of humanity when faced with the unknown.
Totally.
These weren't just lights in the sky.
Right.
These were forces that could interact with the physical world.
Yeah.
And affect human lives in really profound ways.
It's like looking at two sides of the same coin, right?
Yeah.
One side is that scientific mystery, the quest for explanations, the analysis of evidence. And the other side is the human story.
Right.
The fear, the trauma, the struggle to cope with the inexplicable.
And perhaps that duality is what makes the Colares incident so compelling.
It is.
It speaks to both, our intellectual curiosity and our primal fear of the unknown.
So while we may not have definitive answers, the Colares incident raises some really profound questions.
Like what?
What are these objects? Where do they come from? And what is their purpose?
These are questions that have puzzled humanity for centuries.
I know.
And the Colares incident brings them sharply into focus.
Yeah.
It's a case that challenges our assumptions about the universe and our place within it.
And it's a case that even decades later still resonates with us.
Absolutely.
The Colares incident is a testament to the enduring power of mystery and the human desire to understand the unknown.
It reminds us that the universe is a vast and mysterious place.
Yeah.
And there are likely countless wonders and mysteries yet to be discovered.
So let's recap what made the Colares incident so unique.
Okay.
For our listener who I know loves those aha moments, just like me, we have solid physical evidence. We have credible witnesses from both the military and medical communities.
Yes.
And a level of official investigation that is pretty rare.
It is. UFO cases.
I think it's the combination of all those factors that makes Colares stand out from the countless other UFO reports.
Right.
It's not just anecdotal evidence.
Right.
or blurry photos. We have detailed reports, documented injuries, and the testimony of trained observers.
It almost feels like someone deliberately set out to create the most credible and well-documented UFO case possible.
Yeah, perhaps. Or maybe it was simply a case of the phenomenon presenting itself in a way that couldn't be easily dismissed or ignored.
Yeah.
You know, the sheer scale of the events on Colares Island.
Right.
The duration of the sightings.
Yeah.
The sheer number of witnesses involved made it impossible to just sweep under the rug.
And yet, even with all that, we are still left with more questions.
Yeah, we are.
And answers.
We are. It's like we've assembled part of the puzzle.
Right.
But those most crucial pieces are still missing.
They are.
Was it advanced technology, extraterrestrial visitors, or something we haven't even conceived of yet?
Right.
The Colares incident leaves us with this profound sense of wonder and a thirst for a deeper understanding.
I think the Colares incident challenges us to reconsider our assumptions about what's possible.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most compelling stories are the ones that resist easy explanation.
So for you listening out there, I'll leave you with this thought. What if Colares was just the tip of the iceberg? What if those events, as terrifying and unexplainable as they were just a glimpse into a reality far more complex and mysterious than we ever imagined?
The Colares incident invites us to stay open-minded, to question our assumptions, and to embrace the mystery. It's a reminder that we still have so much to learn about the universe and the possibilities that exist beyond our current understanding.
Makes you wonder, right? What if this is just the tip of the iceberg?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's so intriguing about Colares is that it forces us to consider multiple perspectives. You know, we can approach it from that scientific angle, you know, analyze the evidence, look for patterns, try to fit it into our existing understanding of the world. But then there's also that human element, the emotional impact, the psychological impact, which adds, I think, a whole other dimension.
Yeah, because it wasn't just about lights in the sky.
No.
It was about how those lights affected real people, their lives, their health, even their beliefs.
Their belief systems,
And that's something that really stuck with me from all these sources. That just the sense of terror and helplessness that the people of Colares experienced.
Absolutely. The Colares incident is just a powerful reminder that the unknown can be both fascinating and terrifying.
Totally.
And it challenges us to think about how we as individuals and as a society respond to events that just defy explanation.
And how we interpret those events. Because we've talked about all these different theories, directed energy weapons, advanced surveillance, ball lightning, extraterrestrial visitors. It's like everyone's trying to fit Colares into their own framework of understanding.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the beauty of a mystery like this. You know, it invites us to be curious, to explore different possibilities, to question our assumptions. But I think it also highlights the importance of critical thinking. Evaluating evidence carefully and not jumping to conclusions.
It's like that saying, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And with Colares, we have this intriguing mix of eyewitness counts, physical evidence, official documentation. But it's still not enough to definitively say, okay, this is what happened. This is the explanation.
And I think that's why even after all these years, the Colares incident continues to fascinate and intrigue us.
It does.
It's a reminder that there are still mysteries in the world. That we haven't solved phenomena that challenge our understanding of reality.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces.
It is.
And those missing pieces might be the key to unlocking a whole new level of understanding about the universe and our place in it.
Maybe someday we'll find those missing pieces.
Maybe.
But even if we don't, I think the Colares incident serves as a powerful reminder to stay curious, to keep exploring, and to never stop questioning the world around us.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Colares incident, I'm left with a sense of awe and a renewed appreciation for the unknown. It's just a reminder that there's so much out there that we don't understand.
Oh, there is.
And that's pretty exciting.
It is. It's exciting.
Thanks for joining me on this one.
Always a pleasure.
Catch you next time.
See you later.